Hey guys, Level Cap here. Today is Monday, which means it's time for an episode of Loadout, the series where you guys, the viewers, get to pick a gun and customization for me to use. The way you do this is you leave a comment down below letting me know what kind of weapon and accessories you'd like me to run with, and I will pick one of the top rated comments for the next episode. Today's top comment comes from Support Guy and his M249. He says, the Valkyrie loadout from Rainbow Six. Class Recon. Primary is the Spas-12 with a holographic sight and red laser. Secondary is the Deagle, also with a laser. Gadget 1 is C-4 to replicate the nitro cell. Gadget 2 is the SOFLAM because that's the closest thing to the black eye. Now for grenade, they have none selected, although you always have to have a grenade in Battlefield 4. Knife is any, field upgrade, defensive. You are Valkyrie. Play defensive, use your SOFLAMs to spot the enemy operators, and once the going gets tough and you feel like being a jerk to the enemy operators, pull out your nitro cell and blow them away. Play smaller game modes like Domination and TDM. Good luck and thanks for picking this loadout. Now we have done a Valkyrie loadout in the past, but I do have a hard time saying no to Spas-12 loadout, and I really wanted to get some good, fun run and gun pump action shotgun gameplay. And I actually equipped the smoke grenade here, as you do have to equip some sort of grenade. I didn't want to pick one that was going to be a lethal grenade and end up getting me kills. And the smoke grenade, they do have that in Rainbow Six Siege. So I just basically used it to close the distance to my opponents, and it actually comes in quite handy in quite a few maps. Now I've always really liked the Spas-12, mostly for its aesthetic appeal. It's definitely one of those guns that you recognize from films, most notably Jurassic Park. But this is something that you wouldn't see in the United States. In fact, the assault weapons ban restricted this weapon from coming in because of its collapsible stock. They also don't really manufacture it anymore, so aside from a fixed stock version of it, I think they stopped production back in 2000 in favor of the Spas-15. Now an interesting little fact about this weapon is that you can actually select between pump action or semi-automatic fire in real life. However, you cannot make this distinction in Battlefield 4. Granted, you can use the pump action very quickly in this game, but it is kind of an interesting little feature and kind of unfortunate that it was left out of Battlefield 4, considering that they spent a lot of time and care getting some of the other weapons right, like the AN-94 that shoots 2 shots back to back if you switch it into that fire mode. It would be interesting having a shotgun that had better control in semi-auto mode for getting single kills, but then if you came up on a whole bunch of baddies, you could switch it into semi-auto mode and just let loose. I think that would be an awesome dynamic to have. Maybe we'll see it in a future Battlefield game. Who knows? Now the loadout didn't call for any sort of barrel modifier, so that means my spread is basically going to be as big as it possibly can be, meaning that if I want to control my spread as much as possible, aiming down sights whenever taking a shot will help a little bit. It's going to reduce my single shot kill ability at range though. So if you put a full choke or a modified choke on your weapon, that will basically tighten the spread of the pellets when they come out, increasing the range at which you can one-shot somebody. Now it's not going to increase it drastically, but it will be enough where if you're a precise shot, you can extend that one-shot kill range. However, if you're not a great shot or you like to hip fire a lot, it might not be the best attachment for you, as it's really going to reduce the spread in close quarters where it might actually benefit you a little bit more. Now recently I've come to just really love the smoke grenade and shotgun combination. It's absolutely excellent on really clustery maps. However, we do have a laser sight on this shotgun, so before running into a smoke cloud, I always turn off my laser sight so it doesn't give away my position. Otherwise, you're just going to get gunned down as you try and run through the smoke, because you're going to have a little red dot telegraphing your position. And as you can see here, it's giving me the ability to charge into areas that are otherwise just narrow corridors where the enemy can easily defend them. If you blind everybody, then at least you're on equal footing. When you run in there, you can usually get a bunch of fun flanking kills, and if you combine that with C4, as you'll see here in a second, it can be even more devastating. Now here you're going to see me push up to the center entrance on this map, which is easy to defend from so many angles, all the way down the hall, to the left of the hall, to the right of the hall. I basically am at a huge disadvantage pushing in here, but if I smoke it up completely using all my smoke grenades, I can then move through to this left room here and start to try and get the flank off. Now I kill these 2 people here with the shotgun, and I decide to just move in for the C4 kill, and I actually end up getting 5 C4 kills right there. Unfortunately, the enemy team kills me right before the second detonation goes off, otherwise I would have gotten a few more. C4 is one of those things that just makes flanking rest that much more rewarding. I'm really curious to see if dynamite has the exact same effect in Battlefield 1. We haven't really seen too many of the close quarter infantry oriented maps yet, so it might become more effective once we start seeing those maps, but I can't wait to try it out in that game. Now, the juxtaposition of Valkyrie in Rainbow Six Siege and this loadout in Battlefield 4 is completely different in terms of how it plays. Obviously, Battlefield 4 is about getting tons of kills real fast, running around like a maniac, blowing people up with C4. Rainbow Six Siege can have moments like that, but for the most part, it's more intel oriented, and Valkyrie's character in that game is all about intel. She's about putting up cameras, figuring out where the enemy team is, flanking them, taking them out. She's actually a great character, extremely useful, and there just really isn't much of a translation into Battlefield 4. There's pretty much no point in using a SOFLAM in TDM. I could put it up and try and look for people, but it's not going to give me any sort of advantage or advantageous flanking route, especially on these smaller TDM maps. It's pretty obvious where people are most of the time. And that purely comes down to game pacing. Rainbow Six Siege is slow and methodical and intel based, and you only have one life per round. And Battlefield 4 is basically as many lives as you want, run and gun like a maniac, die as much as you want, kill as much as you want. Like, it's all kind of up to you. So slowing down and getting intel methodically for a kill or two just seems totally out of place in TDM or domination. And look at these guys putting their spawn beacons up here. That's a pretty cheeky strategy on this map, pretty annoying, but I managed to get back there and clear them out and kind of even the odds with this matchup. For those of you who have been playing Battlefield 4 since the start, you might remember that Siege of Shanghai on TDM and Domination had the rooftop available, so you could take the elevator up or you could take ladders up, and people would just put their spawn beacons up there instead, and it was such an annoying thing. And it was in fact so annoying that the developers took it out of the game, so people can no longer go on the roofs. But if you look at some of my early like sniper review videos, I'll just be camping up on the roofs of Siege of Shanghai, wrecking everyone because they just can't get up there. Now, as for the configuration of the Spas-12, the optic on here isn't bad. It's one of those things where if you have a pump action shotgun, using a red dot sight on it is something that can improve it, but you can easily get away with using the iron sights for the aesthetic appeal. I don't really think there's any sort of negative side to using a red dot sight on there. If you really like using iron sights, you can use that as well. I think I prefer iron sights just because I'm a sucker for the aesthetically clean look of the shotgun. The laser sight also doesn't hurt, especially if you like to hip fire a lot. It will make your spread more accurate. It won't make the spread tighter. It'll just be a higher chance of it going towards the center of where you're aiming when you shoot while hip firing. The downside, of course, is smoke, or just the fact that on dark maps especially, it'll really make you stick out like a sore thumb. So if I have a laser sight, I almost always turn it off right at the start, and I only turn it on when I think I'm gonna need it. Buckshot is also my ammo of choice. I really don't like messing around with the other ammo types for shotguns. Just give me whatever does the most damage. Now, if you're like me and you're just sort of sitting around waiting for Battlefield 1 to come out and you're playing some Battlefield 4 in anticipation, remember that the shotguns will be operating a little bit differently between Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 1. It's very easy to interrupt your reload sequence in Battlefield 4. If you're putting shells into your shotgun, you can just stop that and fire from the hip quickly. In Battlefield 1, though, you can't interrupt the reload sequence as easily. You have to finish putting whatever shell you're putting into the chamber before you can fire. At least that was my experience while playing it, so it did feel a little bit more clunky until you actually get used to the system. So I think there's going to be a little bit more skill involved with using pump action shotguns in BF1, and that's a good thing because they're incredibly good in infantry-oriented maps that allow you to get close to your opponents. Now, if BF1 really does offer some crazy close-quarter TDM maps like on the Amiens map that's like a destroyable city, then shotguns could be incredibly good considering most other weapon classes have gotten a bit of a nerf. If shotguns maintain their one-shot kill at decent ranges, they, like the bolt-action rifles, could be seeing a bit of an upgrade. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of those extremely close-quarter maps you end up seeing a lot of people running the shotties. Anyway, this loadout is absolutely excellent in Battlefield 4. I enjoyed it a lot, and that pretty much wraps it up for today's episode of Loadout. Don't forget to leave your comments down below, letting me know what kind of weapon and accessories you'd like me to run with for next week. And as always, guys, I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.